Small Island States and joins us live now from Sharm el-Sheikh to talk about the alliance and whether anything is changing. You were saying there, Jeremy, that actually the Alliance of Small Island States has been calling for the last 30 years for more assistance from the bigger developed nations. But do you feel that's falling on deaf ears?
I think it's been understood at this COP that we are committed to talking about this, but not just talking about it no more, but leading to action. Each year that passes, small island developing states like the Seychelles, like others in the Pacific and the Caribbean, on average lose 8% of our GDP to loss and damage. And also other things, so cultural heritage that is not economically measurable. So we are committed to survive and go through this process as best as we can so that people my age can grow up in our countries, but we can also have a future generation to look forward.
But you talk about loss and damage, but has there been any kind of commitment made? Because countries like the United States, for example, have been resisting this for a very long time.
Yes, there's been a lot of resistance. In terms of the UNFCCC, in terms of the Paris Agreement, there has been a lot of notes and documents that show exactly what kind of tactics are at play for not just the United States, but all sorts of countries that don't find it in its interest to pay loss and damage. And in fact, it's our taxpayers who are basically paying for loss and damage not committed by them, but by the taxpayers of other countries.
What do you expect then to take away from this particular COP? Anything?
So we need to open the door and keep the door open. The discussions as they are make it that everybody is equally unhappy in terms of talking about this and bringing it forward. The UNFCCC, the Paris Agreement, we know this international environmental law system that we work in this world is not perfect. But for countries like Seychelles, countries around the world that are vulnerable to climate change, this is the best way for us to go forward within the international system, talking to our allies, talking to the international community.
Are you
explaining
hopeful?
Where we are, explaining what we need.
Are you hopeful?
I have to be hopeful to continue to be a Seychellois. So in the next 50 years, in the next 100 years, if we don't go through with these agreements with internationally, Seychelles and other countries will stop being UN members, will be assimilated and going through. So there's hope in passion, there's hope in drive, there's hope in necessity. And I'm hopeful in all the people who are turning up today, not only from small and developing states, but all over the world, to try and push the needle and try and get the door to stay open so that we can get to action.
But given the energy crisis, the rise of cost of living, many countries are reverting back or accelerating their use of fossil fuels and their dependency. How much of an impact is that going to have on a place like the Seychelles and many other smaller island nations, for example?
Yeah, the current triple planetary crisis, the cost of living crisis, the one in generation effect that we have, I think for the short to medium term, there's definitely pushback that we have seen in terms of fossil fuel use. But the smart countries, the countries that want to be resilient, the countries that want to live up to commitments, also see the opportunity in going to renewable and becoming more energy sovereign. It's a good time to think about how this crisis that we're in, why we are in this crisis, what has led to this energy crisis, how dependent have we been on fossil fuels for so long, and why we should stop that dependency. What does it mean if these countries that are currently dependent on natural gas, dependent on fossil fuels, what if they were able to move towards more renewable energy, more clean energy that is able to be produced in their country? So people are seeing the political issues related with being dependent on fossil fuels.
Big questions there. Thank you very much, Jeremy Rajan from the Alliance of Small Island States, joining us there from Sharm el-Sheikh. Well, let's